Let's get right into it. Number 12, the shower epiphany phenomenon. Your brain spends all day dealing with spreadsheets, traffic, and people who chew too loudly. Then you step into the shower, and suddenly you're solving the meaning of existence while shampooing your hair. This isn't some spiritual awakening. It's called the default mode network, and it's basically your brain's screensaver mode. When you're doing something mindless, like showering or walking, your prefrontal cortex stops micromanaging every thought. The DMN kicks in, connecting random dots between memories, ideas, and that embarrassing thing you said in 2014. Deep thinkers have hyperactive DMNs, which means their brains are essentially running background apps 24/7. It's why they can't just enjoy the moment without wondering if free will exists. The catch? All those brilliant shower thoughts evaporate the second you grab a towel. Your working memory has the retention span of a goldfish with amnesia. Number 11. Analysis paralysis is real. Picture this. You're at a restaurant, staring at a menu like it's a hostage negotiation. Do you want the pasta? But what if the fish is better? What if you regret not getting the burger? 30 minutes later, you've considered every possible timeline, and you're still hungry. Deep thinkers don't just overthink, they overthink. Their brains run every decision through a mental supercomputer, weighing pros, cons, and existential implications. Neuroscience calls this decision fatigue, which is really just your prefrontal cortex acting like a paranoid detective who trusts nothing. Studies show that people who think deeply generate more neural pathways when making choices, which sounds impressive until you realize it just means their brain is creating traffic jams. The irony? All that analysis usually leads to the same result as flipping a coin, except now you've wasted an hour and hate yourself a little. Congratulations, you've thought yourself into a corner. Number 10, the existential doom spiral. Some people lie awake thinking about grocery lists. Deep thinkers lie awake wondering why grocery lists exist in a universe headed toward heat death. Welcome to existential anxiety, where your brain decides 2 a.m. is the perfect time to question reality itself. This isn't drama, it's your anterior cingulate cortex noticing patterns and contradictions everywhere. Deep thinkers have heightened activity in this region, which means they're constantly detecting philosophical landmines in everyday life. Someone says, "Have a good day," and their brain translates it to, "What even is good in a morally relative universe?" Psychologists call this existential intelligence, which is a fancy way of saying your brain is too smart for its own good. You're not depressed, you're just cursed with the ability to see the absurdity in everything. It's like having X-ray vision, except instead of seeing through walls, you see through the comforting illusions that keep everyone else functional. Number 9. Social exhaustion isn't antisocial. Deep thinkers at parties look like they're having the time of their life for exactly 45 minutes. Then their brain starts filing an official complaint. It's not that they hate people, it's that their nervous system treats small talk like a full-contact sport. Here's what's happening. While everyone else is vibing, a deep thinker's brain is running facial recognition software, analyzing tone, predicting conversational outcomes, and wondering why humans make that weird laugh when nothing's funny. Their mirror neurons are working overtime, essentially feeling everyone else's emotions on top of their own. It's exhausting. Introverted deep thinkers have it worse. Studies on introversion show their brains are more sensitive to dopamine, meaning social interaction is literally overstimulating. They're not being rude when they ghost your group chat. Their amygdala is just screaming for a recovery period. Basically, their nervous system is throwing a toddler tantrum on their behalf. Number 8. They replay conversations like crime scenes. You said "see you later" to your coworker. Normal people forget this in 3 seconds. Deep thinkers replay it 17 times, analyzing tone, facial microexpressions, and whether later implied passive aggression. This is rumination on steroids. The brain's posterior cingulate cortex keeps looping through past interactions, searching for hidden meanings that probably don't exist. Deep thinkers do this because their brains are pattern recognition machines that can't distinguish between actual threats and social awkwardness. Evolutionary psychologists think this comes from ancient survival instincts. Our ancestors who overanalyzed social dynamics probably didn't get kicked out of the tribe. Great for them, bad for you, lying in bed at 3 a.m. wondering if your ha-ha text seemed sarcastic. Your brain is treating a casual conversation like it's investigating a conspiracy, and spoiler alert, there is no conspiracy. Karen from accounting doesn't think about you at all. Number 7. The curse of unfinished thoughts. Deep thinkers start one thought and end up in a completely different dimension. They'll begin thinking about breakfast and somehow land on the philosophical implications of artificial intelligence. Their brain doesn't think in straight lines. It thinks in fireworks. This is called divergent thinking, and it's the hallmark of creative and analytical minds. While most brains follow A to B logic, deep thinkers connect A to Q to purple to that weird dream they had in 2008. Their neural networks fire in chaotic patterns, linking seemingly unrelated concepts into bizarre but occasionally genius ideas. The downside? They have 63 browser tabs open in their mind at all times, and none of them are loading properly. They'll start explaining something simple and derail into 5 tangents before forgetting what they were originally talking about. It's not ADHD, it's just a brain that refuses to stay on the highway when there are so many interesting side roads. Exhausting for everyone involved. Number 6. Hypersensitivity to stimulation. Fluorescent lights feel like a personal attack. Someone's eating chips 3 rooms away, and it sounds like an avalanche. The tag on your shirt is committing actual violence. Welcome to sensory processing sensitivity, the annoying superpower nobody asked for. Deep thinkers often have nervous systems that process stimuli more intensely. Their brain doesn't filter background noise as efficiently, which means they're consciously aware of everything: the hum of the fridge, distant traffic, their own heartbeat. It's like living life without noise-canceling headphones in a world that won't shut up. Their brain is processing the world in 4K while everyone else is chilling in standard definition. Number 5. Chronic future anxiety. Most people think about tomorrow. Deep thinkers are already catastrophizing 2035. They're not worrying about next week's meeting. They're 3 steps ahead, imagining every possible disaster timeline like they're Doctor Strange reviewing alternate futures, except without the cool cape. This is your brain's threat detection system gone rogue. The amygdala and prefrontal cortex team up to simulate potential dangers, which was useful when threats were lions. Now it just means you're awake at 2 a.m. wondering if you saved enough for retirement, or if climate change will make retirement irrelevant anyway. Psychologists call this anticipatory anxiety, but it's really just your brain being a pessimistic fortune teller. The kicker: all that worrying doesn't prevent bad things. It just ruins your present moment with imaginary future problems. Your brain thinks it's being responsible. Really, it's just bullying you with hypotheticals that will probably never happen. Thanks, evolution. Number 4. The loneliness paradox. Deep thinkers crave meaningful connection, but find most interactions painfully shallow. They're surrounded by people but feel alone because nobody wants to discuss whether consciousness is an illusion at brunch. It's the loneliness paradox. Desperate for connection, allergic to small talk. This happens because their brains process social bonding differently. Studies show that deep thinkers get less dopamine from casual socializing and more from intellectually stimulating conversations. Surface-level chat doesn't just bore them, it actually feels unrewarding at a neurological level. They're not snobs, they're just stuck in a world where "how's the weather" is considered conversation. They want to talk about ideas, patterns, and why humans do the weird things they do, but everyone else is discussing Netflix shows. It's isolating. They're fluent in a language most people don't speak, and they're tired of translating themselves into small talk. So they end up alone. Not because they want to be, but because shallow feels worse than solitary. Number 3. Imposter syndrome on loop. Deep thinkers know a lot, but their brain is convinced they're frauds. They could have 3 degrees and a Nobel Prize, and they'd still think everyone's about to discover they're winging it. This is imposter syndrome, and for overthinkers, it's a lifestyle. Here's why. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect in reverse. Instead of being confidently wrong, they're anxiously right. Their brain highlights every knowledge gap while downplaying their expertise. Meanwhile, Todd from sales has never read a book, but somehow has the confidence of a tenured professor. Deep thinkers also compare their internal experience to everyone else's highlight reel. They see their own messy thought process and assume everyone else has it together. Spoiler, nobody does, but their brain won't accept that. It's too busy cataloging every mistake they've ever made and presenting it as evidence that they're secretly incompetent. Your brain isn't protecting you, it's gaslighting you with your own thoughts. Number 2. Decision-making becomes a philosophy debate. Normal people choose a coffee flavor. Deep thinkers turn it into a moral dilemma. Is choosing vanilla boring? Does caramel imply you're trying too hard? What if you regret not trying the seasonal option? Suddenly you're not ordering coffee, you're having an existential crisis in line. This isn't indecisiveness, it's hyperactive metacognition. Deep thinkers don't just make choices, they analyze the act of choosing itself. Their brain asks, but why this option? What does this say about me? Am I being authentic or performative? It's exhausting. Every decision becomes a referendum on their identity. Neuroscience shows that overthinkers have increased activity in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex during decisions, meaning they're running simulations of every outcome. Sounds smart, except it turns buying toothpaste into a philosophical debate. The tragic part is, after all that, they usually pick the same thing they always get. All that mental gymnastics just to arrive at the default option. Efficient. Number 1. They're exhausted by their own brain. The biggest struggle for deep thinkers? They can't turn off. While everyone else sleeps peacefully, their brain is awake, rewriting conversations from 2016, solving problems nobody asked them to solve, and wondering if they locked the door. They did, 3 times. This is mental hyperactivity. Their brains have weak inhibitory control, meaning the off switch doesn't really work. The default mode network stays loud even during rest, which is why meditation feels impossible and sleep is a negotiation. They're tired, but their brain refuses to shut up. It's like living with a roommate who never stops talking, except the roommate is your own consciousness and eviction isn't an option. The irony? They think deeply about everything except how to stop thinking deeply. They're trapped in a brain that's simultaneously their greatest asset and their most annoying enemy. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this, so subscribe if you don't want to miss them.